Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Guys, if you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a TV show, and that TV show is The Mandalorian Season 3. Here to discuss, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Greetings, Gooch. How art thou?
This is the way.
This is the way. How are you?
I'm good. God, weird.
Are we getting
Star Wars podcast? Always
another one. It's always a fun one.
Always a like.
It's always
why
like,
do we gotta
how's
do
it,
this, man?
Well, no, it's more of just like, how's it gonna go? Because
yeah, that is a good question.
I guess for me, usually, I'm sure some people may or may not know where I go. I'd like to think I can spice it up a bit with my takes, but Gooch, let's just get right into it. And I'm sure this is going to be exactly out of line with what you always say and just really blow me away, and I'm not going to see it coming at all. What did you think of The Mandalorian Season 3? Just broad strokes.
This season was really inconsistent. I don't think this season as a whole, the episodes were bad, but it you know what it felt like? It felt like Dave Filoni was writing season 1 of Clone Wars, which I have not watched yet, but I assume it's a lot of mixed episodes that
work here and don't work there. Maybe.
Right, here's the random Jar Jar episode, and then here's the, this is where talking about the actual plot of like what's going on this season episode, because the first episode was like,
catch up,
and then we just end.
Yeah. And
then the second episode is like, okay, main plot. Then we get another main plot. And now we're going to go save some Mandalorian kid. And now we're going to go to a planet and meet Lizzo and Jack Black. And it's just like, what? And then the finale was great, but the villain of this season was underwhelming and unnecessary. I don't know why they, spoilers, chose to bring Moff Gideon back. I almost didn't, just to take him away in 2 episodes. It just seemed like unnecessary. It just seemed like they didn't really have any idea where they were going with the season. Like they didn't know, while they were writing and shooting it, what the main objective of season 3 was, because it really doesn't come into fruition until the last episode. Of course, we get a lot of exposition with Bo-Katan, and that's great, but I feel like they're trying to jump around and do so many things at the same time, and they kind of are getting lost in the sauce.
Fair.
What do you think?
Gooch, I just want to start off by saying that was a much more measured and not as harsh thing that I was prepared for. So I have to kind of reevaluate and I have to come back in. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
No,
I think I have some good opinions.
I agree. I get why I do this with you now. No, I'm kidding. But no, I can't help but agree with you on most of this account. I think unfocused is a very good word. I don't think we're getting into Boba Fett territory, even close to that.
No.
But
no riding banthas.
I do think the overall story is just, like you're saying, it's not well focused in on it. They seem to have the idea of where they're going, but then we kind of went at it in this kind of out of order, unfocused order that just didn't feel as satisfying as I believe it could have and should have. And I understood the idea of the season being going back to Mandalore and kind of taking that back, but
it really
I do
didn't
think
even
it kind of got confusion there. But that's what
they got lost in the sauce
a little bit. But then we jumped back into it. Exactly,
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It was unfocused in that respect, and I think when it did focus in, it worked very well. And I mean, I still love seeing Din and Grogu together. I do think Mandalorian, I have come to accept as it. I feel like has been, especially even in the first season, it is kind of more of this swashbuckling romp from episode to episode. It's not the most focused thing, but we are taking the story somewhat seriously. I don't know. It's definitely, I'm not taking it as seriously as an Andor, which is on purpose. That's what you're supposed to do. But it does feel weird how focused and well-rounded a lot of the episodes are in the first 2 seasons, and this last season just I am wondering what kind of happened in the writer's room and why certain choices were made to kind of bounce around in certain ways. And I did like the episode a lot with the Dr. Pershing, but it did go in a different way that I wasn't expecting. But I don't know. I think it was pretty unfocused. I think it has a lot of ups and downs. I think it has more ups than downs for me. And I think it did come to a very satisfying conclusion. I just wish our journey there was a bit more consistent.
I think we're going to get one more season, right?
I think so too. And then we're getting a movie, or maybe not even. I could see the new movie being that is it.
Because and here's what I was thinking. I've said this with Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. That Season 1 of the
You just remind
Mandalorian.
me of something, but continue.
The season 1 of Mandalorian was about Din Djarin.
Yeah.
Season 2 of the Mandalorian should have been about Boba Fett. Season 3 of the Mandalorian should have been the Book of Bo-Katan.
You mean season 2 should have been about like Mandalorian again, and then 3 should have been that Book of Boba Fett, right? Because Boba Fett doesn't get introduced until the end of second season.
Sure.
Or
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because this is now more about the Mandalorians.
I don't care
Yeah.
about the semantics, but you understand
Sure,
what I'm
I
saying.
get what you're saying. Yeah.
Book Season 1, Book of Din Djarin. Season 2, Book of Boba Fett. Season 3, Book of Bo-Katan. Because Season 3 really focuses on Bo-Katan, and I was like, is she gonna turn on them?
Sure.
Like what is she doing? Like the mythosaur thing. Like she chose to drop that like at a really like convenient time for her, and like the armor hears her and like but doesn't react on it right away, and then reacts on it, and like kind of like upheaves the way.
Yeah.
What is the cult called?
Oh, the Death Watch, but they're
They're not called Death Watch.
They were called Death Watch, but they like are splinter groups of what was Death Watch. The Way of Mandalore. Like that's the, that is the old.
No, it's then there's a name for it. I forget what it is.
Either
Anyway.
way, they follow the old traditions of like regal Mandalore and,
I know.
and those other things. I know I'm more talking.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I get I know Gooch, but yeah, I don't know. Again, I think there are many ideas here that are very interesting, and I love exploring. And I think when they do, it works very well. But they do just like to linger in odd spots and take kind of tangents off in weird places in ways that I think work.
Children of the Watch.
Children of the Watch, okay.
Yeah.
And I think that works a lot better in the first season, whereas in this season, it just feels, like you said, unfocused. And I think that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly as, like, catastrophic as I feel like some people have been saying.
It's definitely not Book of Boba Fett catastrophic, or even Obi-Wan. I feel like if we, I think we were pretty high on Obi-Wan, but a lot of people weren't.
No, I know that. I'm still very high on that ending. I think overall that series didn't do a amazing job, and I think
hearing
I said that,
the fact of like there's going to be a season 2 like really puts me off.
I don't think that's been confirmed. Oh,
But like
Ewan
people are
McGregor
like,
just saying he wants one.
I'm
but,
like, dude, like why would?
but
we
again,
do
how
that?
do they do? I think they know they can't. I don't know how they do. They can't do that.
Yeah, they can't.
Again,
They literally can't.
that was what they did as their season 1 should have been their season 2, and their season 1 should have been him facing off against Darth Maul. But we've already seen that. So what I was gonna say though with in regards to that story, I just lost again. What were you gonna say?
Also lost it. I think I was gonna say something about. Oh yeah, like okay, we have the sequel trilogy, right? Like, well, like what, like Mandalore. We don't know what happens to Mandalore.
No, we don't. We know it's now resettled though. They're just not involved. I mean, Mandalore.
Right, 'cause
that makes sense to me that you don't really see them. Like we don't need
guess.
to.
I don't
They're
know.
out. They're off doing their own thing.
You don't think it's kind of a big deal that the Mandalorians resettled Mandalore and are now not splintered faction and are finally together? Like, I don't know. It's like the wider world stuff. It's like, why wouldn't
But we haven't had any reason to like.
I hear you. I think I'm just being nitpicky to be nitpicky because it's like it's kind of a big deal, right?
No, it is, and I think it's handled very
But also,
well
Mandalorian
by the end.
falling seemed to not be a big deal. But then again,
But it was during the whole Jedi purge.
Right,
Everything
a lot
hit the
of shit was going on.
There was a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of stuff going on, and yeah, I don't know. I do like the idea that the Empire's using Mandalore as this base and have been kind of just keeping that idea or that rumor going that it's just a kind of waste. I don't know why anyone else wouldn't have gone and checked it out. But again, I'm willing to accept some of these things. Bo-Katan in general, did you like her?
fucking loved her, dude.
Yeah.
The only thing I think the issue with Bo-Katan, it's really not an issue for me. I think it's just an issue with the show in general. I think they're assuming people know way too much about these characters. I don't think they really like explain Bo-Katan and where she's been well. And like to really get you like in the know of who she is. Instead, I think they think you already know.
Interesting.
So like they think you already know, or you've already seen Rebels and the Clone Wars, and you know about her. And I'm just like,
I don't know.
because I asked my dad, I'm like, who like he watched Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's Bo-Katan? Tell me. And he's like, I don't know.
Is your dad a great example though?
No, he's
that's
not.
what I mean.
But I'm just like, I'm like, do you understand? She's like is kind of was like once the leader of Mandalore and is like one of the royal families and like fought like zealously for that planet and has a lot of baggage with like what happened to Mandalore like
Sure.
when it fell. And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. Like, well, he's like, why? I'm like, you already answered my question.
But again, I think you're thinking more deeply than unfortunately the most. Like,
Right, but like
I get
your,
what you're saying,
your general
but, like,
audience is
I'm
like
curious.
It's like same thing with like Ahsoka. They brought in Ahsoka, and it's like we know who Ahsoka Tano is, but like not everyone like and we're like freaking the fuck out. But you know, I think the general audience is like, okay,
I know, but I think that's fine. I think you can. They're going to build that hype on their own with that series. But whereas this, I don't know. Again, this is coming in with some with prior knowledge. I'd like to ask my girlfriend, like, do you understand who Bo-Katan is and like what she's doing, like, and see if she grasps it, because I think they do illustrate that well. I think they talk about it a lot. Like even when they find her on the planet, when the guys are like, Lady Katan, Lady Bo-Katan.
that scene when she's like, hey Din Djarin, what's going on?
Another thing I want to say,
Just
I
hanging.
don't care what you say, every single piece of armor for the most part in this was, just seeing so
I was
many
gonna
men,
shit on it.
so
The
many.
Beskar stormtroopers.
No, I know, like,
Oh,
those
man.
guys, but like just seeing a full squadron of fucking Mandalorians jetpack into the atmosphere, man. There were so many great
I
shots.
was really curious why. I mean, the armor is, I think, still a mystery character as to who she really is. But that Moff Gideon's Beskar, it's like a cyborg suit.
Yeah, it is. You can.
It's
you
not
know,
just the suit.
No,
Yeah,
it's
there's
like
some
an
cyber-
exoskeleton almost.
Yeah, like why he put Maul things on his helmet, the Dathomir.
Yeah, no,
Because like, you know, the in the Clone Wars there are Mandalorians
forget
who
what
are
that name is
loyal
called,
to Maul.
because he takes over Mandalore
Yeah,
for a while.
and they emblemize him with their helmets. And
I'm
just
assuming
like,
that's just a callback for people who care.
yeah, but like I feel like it's got to mean something, right? Like they both do it.
who does
like-
Maul and
Gideon and Armor both have spikes on their helmets.
oh, you know what's so funny? I didn't even think about the armors because hers blend in so much more, which is so funny. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
I think it's just more like that was a style introduced, and now some people still use it. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I guess that is the minute stuff that I wasn't really considering, but that's a good point.
What did you think about Grogu's journey on this in this season?
So my major issue I think with the season in general
Is Grogu?
was that Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett fucked this up
Yeah, it did.
this season, and I think it's because
It
they
did.
made the book of Boba Fett, or like they started filming it and they were like, well, what if this is kind of boring? Let's interject Din in here and make sure we just get Grogu back in
and
his
do
arms.
some like massive
And
exposition.
do this, yeah, like basically do 3
For another
episodes of
show.
The Mandalorian within the book of Boba Fett.
Right, which we
And
talked
I
about
think,
on our review.
yeah, and it's just odd, and I don't know what the choice is. And those are 3 great episodes of The Mandalorian.
right.
So
in Book of Boba
yeah,
Fett.
so I feel like those should have been the first 3 episodes of this series, and then you build off of it from there. And I think it would have made a major difference. I just don't know why they chose to do that, and I don't know. I saw rumors which weren't really picked up by major websites, so I don't really have much stock in them. But like that, like they were like Kathleen Kennedy took over a lot of the creative freedom in this to make it better or something or other. I don't know. It's just the kind of classic like Kathleen Kennedy's bad and she's hopefully going to get fired again soon. Which, to be honest, I don't love all her choices she's made concerning Star Wars. But anyways, I just wondering what's going on in this writer's room of like like these last 2 seasons have been much more scattershot, and Andor wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's because that was what's his name? I can't remember. The guy who did Rogue One. I just did that because it makes what's it called noises.
Yeah, I was like, why are you doing that?
Because it'll just be like. Anywho, yeah, I don't know what was going on. It just seems like a super scattershot season with a lot of ideas thrown in, some very great set pieces. The heavy dying hit me hard. I don't care what you said.
Paz Vizsla.
Was that his name?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I missed it. But that was such a
Yeah,
great
that's well, you know, Jon Favreau plays him, right?
Yes,
but he
yeah.
also plays Tar Vizsla, his dad or his,
Oh,
one of his
interesting.
ancestors in the Clone
Yeah, I
Wars.
was like, they did, I think, do a weird thing to set up in the other episodes was when you just go save that kid. It's like, oh, that does now tie back into that last episode, but it just seems such a weird thing to divert on for an entire episode.
Yeah,
So
and
it
I mean,
is-
I understand, like, they kind of need to explain. It's like, okay, like, Grogu's a foundling now. He's chosen to be a Mandalorian. But he's, like, not training like the rest of the other kids. Like,
Well,
you know,
he was
like-
just a foundling.
like
he wasn't
Vizsla's,
an apprentice
like,
yet.
Little
Yeah.
Vizsla, Little Viz.
Little Viz, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, he has force powers and he like chooses not to use them, I guess, because he doesn't want to hurt them, or I don't know. Like, you don't really know why Grogu decides to not show off his force powers.
At what point? Oh,
remember when they're doing the paintball thing and he
yeah.
just shoots him 3 times, he doesn't do anything, and then he like flips over him,
Yeah,
like nails him.
That was really good.
Yeah,
some great Grogu moments.
And we get his little like Beskar, like I guess it's like a chest plate. I don't know what it's supposed to be because he doesn't actually wear it.
Yeah, but
or
he also has the
maybe it's under his little sack,
and he has the chain link armor that he gets in Book of Boba Fett,
which we still don't see.
Well, no, I mean he's wearing it. It's under his robe,
right? But I don't know.
No, you'd like to see him in like a little armor set.
Fucking sack.
Yeah,
can't we put him in some nice clothes? Or
no,
something?
I agree.
But I do kind of like where I think it's really cute where it leads off, and I kind of like the IG-11 thing because it's quick. I was like, please don't tell me he's gonna be walking around like fucking Pacific Rim and then his IG-11 suit. Yes, no. I thought it was like cute.
Sure,
I did.
It didn't overstate. Yeah.
Right, I enjoyed it, and then it's like, oh, the fucking Praetorian guards kill his IG-11, and he's like, running around trying to escape, and he gets fucked up, and you're like, oh. And then last episode, and then Din comes in and saves him, and I'm like, okay. And then he adopts him, which is interesting, and he takes his. So we were talking about this before the cast. Din is his surname.
Yeah, it is.
Jaren is his first name, but then again,
but you were saying with the other
Bo-Katan Kryze. Paz Vizsla, like
there has to be a reason for that. Like,
right,
why it's very specific.
Or maybe
so,
he takes his first name.
Maybe he does
because he's not like Grogu is not like,
his biological son.
Maybe it's something
that was my best guess. Yeah. I don't know. It's a very interesting.
And they live
point,
on Navarro in a
like little shack, and they're gonna keep going on adventures. And you know what again, I think that's a great way to end it and a great place to end it. I just think the stepping stone to get there was just not great.
Yeah, we had to take some big fucking jumps to get across this pond, and then maybe some small ones.
Yeah, we had like 3 big jumps and then 4 small jumps, which is just very odd. I don't know. Just weird choices.
Like I'm just like I don't even know what. So like our main villain is gone. So like, what do we do? Well, where do we go with this? If it's not just going into the movie, which
Thrawn.
Apparently, right. But so like again, so does Ahsoka feed back into Mando season 4?
I think Mando shows up in Ahsoka.
Possibly.
I think I'm calling that now. Clock it. Anyways,
like whatever this movie is going to be, that's going to be like the Mandoverse characters all in it. It's going to be Thrawn as the big bad.
Absolutely. But it's going to be Heir to the Empire.
You think?
100%.
You think they're going to adapt that like one?
I think it's going to be loosely that.
Okay.
Like I think it because I mean with Thrawn involved and they say
for those who don't know, what is Heir of the Empire?
It's like the original book story which Thrawn is introduced in back in the I think it was in the late 1900s 90s late 90s
the late 1900s. I mean that still applies.
Still is right. Yes, he basically kind of spoilers. He takes over after the Emperor goes bye-bye, and some very interesting.
Which is kind of.
I still have yet to read it. I need to read that book.
In the second to last, or maybe it's the beginning of the last episode. No, it's in the second to last episode when Gideon is talking to
the
Hux. Hux's dad.
Yeah,
and then they're like,
that's his brother in real life too.
Yes,
yeah, which is funny.
And, they're missing their leaders. Thrawn and Palpatine. Yeah. They're gone. And
as of right now, they think it's just Thrawn. Well, they do. I think they do kind of mention like the cloning because they talk about how the cloning's needed.
The cloning thing was such a fucking debate, dude. We got debated.
Well, it was.
Oh, it's fucking Moff Gideon's clones. Fuck off. What the hell was that?
But the thing is, it was both. They were using that. His research was supposed to be for the Emperor, but he used it to basically create his own splinter group.
Right, but like I don't care.
I agree. I agree with you on that.
I'd rather like.
I think him spilling his whole thing at the end was annoying too.
If we saw like 3 of Gideon and like 3 of Snoke or Palpatine, that would have been much cooler.
I get what you're saying.
Because he was doing
both. What you're
saying. He's doing his own project, but he's also doing what he's supposed to do.
Well, but he's trying to take over. He doesn't want a mother Palpatine. He doesn't, and he's even trying to usurp Thrawn. He's like, where the fuck is Thrawn? Like we've just been meeting this whole time.
And again, I think it's another character that like again that name's just being whipped out and like. But general again, audience, who the fuck is Thrawn?
But again, I don't think the general audience is supposed to know. I think they're supposed to be like, who is exactly?
But the general audience, is like the internet, like most of us, and we're all like, Thrawn's first appearance. Let's talk about the Easter eggs.
No, the general audience is most of the people not on the internet that are just going on there and not tweeting about it most of the time and not.
I think the
that
general
aren't looking
audience
into this very hard.
are
you know
watching
what I mean?
those Easter egg videos. Like, I mean, I'm watching them too, but like, are really clueless.
I think that's the people who watch the Easter egg videos are a very small percentage of the amount of people who watch this show.
Okay,
in
true.
relations, I think the general
Star
Wars enjoyers watching the episode, turning it off, and being like, "I didn't like or like that."
I need
and
to
then
talk
they
to like
move
a
on.
friend's girlfriend and be like, "Do you understand who Bo-Katan is? Do you know who Grand Admiral Thrawn is and how he's like blue and like a ancient race?"
And again, I think like it's cool that we know that, but that's not key. You're not supposed to know who Thrawn is. No, you're hearing like,
yeah,
ooh,
Ahsoka,
Thrawn, who's Thrawn?
Ahsoka
Yeah, you've heard that a
will
couple
introduce us
times.
to
Yeah,
him.
so I think that's actually set up very well. It's just it's a mismatched puzzle.
I
of a
wish I
season.
had more. I feel like I'm struggling to even like say a lot about the show. Like I just feel like I just didn't. Like the episodes weren't like even good enough for me to be like, yeah, like here's what I find like kind of good at. Well, like I talked about what was good about it, but I'm just like like that is really it. It was just so scattershot. That just like I'm having a hard time even like kind of putting this season together because I'm just like everything was so disjointed.
Yeah,
I remember we didn't even talk about fucking Christopher Lloyd, Lizzo, and Jack Black all being on the same frame together.
Yeah, that's true.
Like what? Who thought that was a good idea? Lizzo, I could get. Like, it's Lizzo. Like, I think if you know who Lizzo is, you know it's Lizzo.
Yeah.
But, like, she's not, like, a personality. Jack Black, on the other hand, dude, everyone knows who Jack Black is. He's just, like, too overpowering of a cameo to kind of do.
So you can't have a cameo of a major actor in these shows.
Not a character like Jack Black.
Okay.
Because
That didn't really bother me, to be honest.
It honestly didn't bother me as much, but I think it's the fact that I
liked a lot of the like droid stuff in that episode. I don't know. There were a few moments I actually really enjoyed in that episode.
Like Christopher Lloyd was fine,
I think there are some just amazing.
but like why
straight up,
three of them all together in the same episode?
I don't know. Gooch.
It just seems odd.
Listen, I think that's
Bryce
fair. I
Dallas
think that
Howard really
I will give
really
you. I
fucked
will
up.
give you it that having all three of them together is a bit overboard.
And
Whereas if you
Bryce
just had
Dallas Howard directed
Christopher
that
Lloyd,
episode.
Whereas if you just had maybe Christopher Lloyd on that or something, I think it would be a
or like
major one.
make
But
Jack Black like an alien.
Yeah.
Like make it so he doesn't look like Jack Black.
yeah, no, that's fair. I'll take that.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think there are just some amazing Mandalorian shots in this that I just love. I'm loving to just see live action. Like I don't know, all of them dropping on the planet and landing at once in a
so
circle.
good.
They're all coming in and flying into the
jetpack
atmosphere.
battle, yeah.
I mean,
the
I think
end.
a lot of the action scenes and moments and set pieces were done very well in this season. I do think Mandalore itself was a little boring. It was just kind of jaggedy rock
And
place.
like I like that episode where he gets captured. That's kind of cool.
Yes, I like that droid thing.
We do have to talk about that Darksaber thing.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it now.
The only thing I wanted to say was like, you know, like you think the Minds of Mandalore adventure is going to be like maybe 3 or 4 episodes. Now we're done in 1.
Yeah,
And it was just like,
again, I
what?
agree. Yeah,
Yeah. What was I just going to bring up?
the Darksaber.
Yeah. Fuck that.
I
dude.
love it.
No.
The Mandalorians are attached to their trinkets, Gooch. They need to move on. The Darksaber does. I know it's a cool black and white lightsaber that looks like a katana, and I think that's really cool. But I do think the idea of why it needs to be destroyed it matters more to me, and I think it makes more sense. And the Mandalorians need to move beyond some of their more stupid symbolisms to move past that to be together and to know. And I mean, I did like that whole scene where she comes clean to all of the Mandalorians about how she tried to save Mandalore and basically she gave up to stop them from glassing the planet, and they did it anyways. And they all were like, all right, well, you did what you had to do. We got to move past this bullshit to reclaim our homeland. And I don't know. I think that worked very well for me personally. But I can understand people wanting to see the nice, cool black and white lightsaber that I genuinely think will be reforged next season.
Oh, see, that would be even worse. That'd be even worse.
But
How
why?
are they
You
gonna
create a new
reforge
symbol.
it?
You create a new lightsaber. You can. It
Isn't
would be tough. I'm sure
the Darksaber is like kind of special, right?
it's a special kyber crystal, and yeah, it was special. I think the way he created it was pretty special. But again, I think Bo-Katan could create a special new lightsaber as the new symbol.
Not the same.
But I agree with you. Listen, I think it's
just
better
like,
off just
what
not
the
bringing
fuck?
it back.
Like when he crushed it, like why did you do that?
God damn it.
And I do like how like Bo-Katan is the one sort of like uniting the Mandalorians, the children of the Watch and the the non-zealots who take off their helmets and stuff. And I like them, and like I like how you get some of the like Sasha Banks plays a character that was in season 2 and she comes back.
Yeah.
And I like how they kind of like reintegrate those people, and then there's Mandalorians still on Mandalore apparently, and they've been here for years, and it's just like, yeah, we need to get like the Mandalorians, like the band, back together here. We need to like stop making them like at war and they suck and they're always fucking fighting each other. It's like
They're a very proud race.
I would like to see something more with the Mandalorians in the future. As to what that is, I don't know, but like let's make sure that this resolution of that plot point matters in the end. That like, okay, like we're gonna see Mandalore in something.
I agree.
And the Mandalorians together. And
well, I think that
Bo-Katan
Mandalorian
as the
movie,
queen.
that Mandoverse, I think the Mandalorians will play a key
Oh,
role.
true. Yeah, I didn't
think
actually think of it like in that, because I'm like, the point of it isn't Mandalore. It's gonna be Thrawn and Ahsoka. I wonder if like they're gonna tie up Ahsoka as well, because Dave Filoni has a lot of characters that he's been with for years.
Well, and he wrote every single episode of Ahsoka apparently, so
Oh man,
that's cool to hear.
yeah, I can't wait. As
almost
somebody
there.
who's literally, I'm watching the non-canon Clone Wars right now, and I'm almost there, baby. I watched
the
Phantom Menace.
Samurai Jack.
Dude, it's
version.
so
It's so
good.
cool. It's very.
I'm
cool.
like, how's this not canon? I just don't understand.
I think because they just wanted to. I don't
There's
know.
nothing
George.
non-canon-y about it.
Well, it's just some of it. I think kind of. There's like a couple things I thought that
Like
do
Shakti
contradict.
dying?
I mean, she dies 3 different times in the trilogy, but
Or like Asajj Ventress
Yeah.
is introduced
Yeah.
in that. I'm like, oh, she had like 2 Jedi lightsabers, and
Yep.
then she gets the Sith ones, and yeah, and I'm like, oh, is it like? But like again, Asajj is in fucking Clone Wars.
Yep.
She's canon. So like, what's the issue here?
Well, but again, because I think that's just like those. I think all that stuff doesn't just happen exactly. Like I think they retread some of that ground within the Clone Wars, so
Yeah,
that's
sure.
why what makes it uncanon. But
Fuck them.
Either way, Gooch. Anything else on the Mandalorian season 3?
I wish I had more. I feel like I haven't said enough.
I don't know. We've
isn't
been
that
going for
strange?
like half an hour. That's usually about what we do.
Yeah,
for these things.
no. I just feel like I'm like, I think I'm just struggling to find something I really enjoyed out of it.
Is there something you really despised? Like, I'm not talking you just didn't like it. Like, you were like, fuck this.
No.
All right, well.
But like I really did like Bo-Katan. I like Katie Sackhoff in that role.
I do too.
Like
I do like how it
like,
did
it's great.
focus more on the Mandalorians.
And you get that cool what's his name from Rebels appearing in that bar with the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Taro, is that his name?
Yeah.
Because of the T.
That was the original design for Chewbacca by Ralph McQuarrie. And then
Yeah.
they went with the other one. And then, seeing that in live action is fucking cool. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
And I like what you're saying, like with that the Lizzo episode. Hey, that's what we're calling it. It is like a little like detective adventure, and you find out there's like the droids are like trying to stay. Like,
Old separatist droids are being used.
The humans
as
took
new
their
things.
jobs. Like it's kind of funny, but
is,
again,
yeah.
it's just like I
It's
think
a
that
random romp.
this would work if it was like an episode of the Clone Wars and it was animated, but it's not.
No, I hear you. I agree with that to a degree.
I'm so thankful I just remembered this because this season of Mandalorian feels like a live action version of the Clone Wars.
I would agree with that.
In what is bad about early O's animated Star Wars.
In the way it feels like it feels like it's just trying to get its feet under itself.
Well,
Or
if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, the viewing order is not, season 1, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all over the place.
well, if you want to go chronologically,
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
but
like,
most shows are in chronological
sure,
order
but
for the most
those
part.
shows don't demand that you need to watch it in chronological
No, but like
order.
it's
and
weird.
it actually is very
weird.
jarring to go back and forth. With
It's
it.
weird that it's like that.
But again, it was supposed to be more episodic.
And that's what the season of Mandalorian feels like.
Yeah. But again, I think the first season's even more episodic than this. I just think it's more
genre episodic.
Yeah.
The plot is progressing, but they're kind of just like, okay, like we're gonna do this.
We're on a
episode,
nice planet where we
and
need
it's
to
a
get some
Western.
fish people to a play. Yeah.
Right, and then the escort mission, or and then but like, and at the end, like Gideon is pursuing them or trying to get to Din, and
It does feel rushed. Like they set him up like very like lightly, like super lightly earlier in the season. Gideon. And then they finally find that
the ship.
Well,
then they return to it 4 episodes later.
Well, but even before that, it's like with the other woman that wipes Dr. Pershing's mind and stuff like that, and fucks him over.
And that episode's weird too. It was so one-off. It was too one-off. We're gonna spend this entire episode with Dr. Pershing. Yeah, remember him, the clone guy from season 1? Yeah, we're just gonna do an episode with him and never go back to that.
Well, but yeah, because you had to see him get his mind wiped so that he can't do anything. I would have been
fine with interspersed that with a Mando thing.
I hear you. Listen, I think I completely understand it. It worked fine for me, but I totally understand that.
Because you know what I didn't care about? These two like flirting and eating like fucking space ice cream or something.
Well, I did think it was a good. I did not see her turning it on him at all. I thought that was a good twist.
I forgot that she was in season 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
I think that about covers us though on the Mandalorian season 3.
Why can't Star Wars just be fucking like excellent and we all agree?
Gooch, but it just was. Andor was excellent, and I think most people would agree, if not all of them.
Can I hot take?
Okay.
Nobody watched it. Not enough people watched.
But again, not everyone has to. But like, I agree with it.
For Disney, they do.
But no, we're gonna get a season 2 of that, and it was critically acclaimed, and they will keep that as a critical darling, even if it doesn't do well.
But I don't think it'll.
I feel like that's a very snide way of saying it.
It's like in the shadows.
No,
just like Mandalorian or Andor kind of is.
But that's the thing. That's because this is a more universally palatable show. Whereas I appreciate that Disney is now taking the lean.
It's kind of like BVS.
Yeah. Whereas like Andor is a lot less palatable, and it's a lot more drama driven, and it's more two people talking in a room about the politics of the world in a way that what George Lucas was kind of trying to do with the prequels, and he didn't really. How many trade embargoes and Federation things do they talk about in those movies, Gooch? It's insane.
In the Phantom Menace, a lot. It's very political.
So much. It's crucial.
I kind of like it.
No, but like it's not interest. I'm sorry. It's not like.
Woohoo!
But
Yippee!
I think you can have this more pulpy, not as serious style of action that the Mandalorian goes with, and do it in a better way than this season has done. And have your Andor that's a critical darling, and a lot of Star Wars fans, even that are sour on the stuff, have really enjoyed. And do I wish it could be more consistent all across the board? Yeah, sure, absolutely, 100%. But that's just my hot take. Not really. It's not that hot. It's a bit chilly, actually. Gooch, anything else? I'll take that as a no.
No.
You should have just left your head out on the ground. I was like, all right. Well, thank you all so much. If you've been watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we really appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We're on all the social media pages as well, at Delco Nerds on basically everything. We have a Facebook page. We have a Discord channel, which all will be linked down below. You can find all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can even email us, DelcoNerds@gmail.com, with all your comments, questions, or concerns. We'd be happy to get back to you. And if you can drop a like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend about us, review us, it really helps us. It just makes a big difference, and we really do appreciate it. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and this is the way.